Life doesn't truly begin until we have failed. Carl Jung, one of the most influential thinkers of the 20th century, believed that the first half of life isn't the main act. Life really begins at 40, he said. Until then, you're just doing research. It's a bold statement that challenges the way most people view aging. We are taught to fear getting older, to see middle age as a period of decline, chaos, or crisis. Popular culture is filled with cliches about the so-called midlife crisis, a time of existential angst, impulsive decisions, and desperate attempts to cling to youth. But Jung offers a radically different perspective. What if this stage of life isn't a crisis but an awakening? What if it's not an ending but a new beginning? To understand this, we need to look at what the first 40 years of life represent. Think of those years as a phase of exploration, a time when we gather experiences, build identities, and learn how the world works. It's a period of rapid growth, where we absorb ideas and values from the people and culture around us. But it's also a time of searching. Who am I? What should I do with my life? What will make me happy? These questions drive us in our youth, yet the answers we find often feel incomplete. In those early decades, we are trying to make sense of life while still discovering who we are. We build careers, relationships, and families, often with a focus on external success and social approval. We learn to strive and sometimes to fail. All of this shapes us. However, as Jung suggests, all of this is preparation. It's research. It's the groundwork for something deeper. As we approach 40, we begin to sense that the old ways of living no longer fulfill us. The priorities that once seemed so urgent, climbing the career ladder, fitting in, meeting expectations, start to lose their grip. We realize that much of what we've been doing was shaped by other people's definitions of success and happiness. And that realization, while unsettling, is also liberating. It marks the beginning of a new phase. Jung called individuation a process of becoming whole, of living life on our own terms. This shift doesn't happen overnight. It's gradual, often starting with quiet questions. Is this all there is? Am I living the life I truly want? These questions may arise during a moment of reflection, a career milestone, a significant birthday, or even a quiet night alone. But once they appear, they don't go away. They grow stronger, demanding answers. And those answers require us to confront ourselves in ways we never have before. The world may see this as a midlife crisis. It's easy to label these moments of questioning and change as breakdowns. But Jung invites us to reframe the experience. What if this isn't a crisis? What if it's an opportunity? What if this stage of life, with all its challenges, doubts, and changes, is exactly what we need to become the person we were always meant to be? According to Jung, midlife is not the beginning of the end. It is the beginning of something far more real, meaningful, and authentic. To fully appreciate Jung's perspective, it helps to understand how we approach the first half of life. During that stage, we focus on building what he called the persona, the external identity we present to the world. This persona is shaped by our upbringing, culture, and social expectations. It's the version of ourselves that seeks approval, that fits in and succeeds in the eyes of others. It's a necessary phase. Without it, we wouldn't learn how to navigate society or lay the foundation of adulthood. But the persona is not the whole of our being. It is a mask, a role we play. And while it serves its purpose, it is only a part of who we truly are. The problem arises when we cling too tightly to it, confusing it with our true self. As we reach middle age, the cracks in the persona begin to show. The roles we've been playing, the successful professional, the devoted parent, the loyal partner, start to feel restrictive. We begin to realize that there is more to us than the image we've been projecting. And this is where the real work begins. Jung called this process of going beyond the persona individuation. Individuation is about integrating all parts of ourselves, not just the socially acceptable ones, but also the hidden and darker aspects we've ignored or repressed. The shadow, as Jung described it, contains everything we reject in ourselves, our fears, insecurities, and unrealized desires. Facing the shadow can be uncomfortable, even painful, but it's essential for growth. Only by acknowledging and accepting these parts of ourselves can we become whole. In middle age, the process of individuation takes on a new urgency. The questions we face are no longer about external achievements, but about inner fulfillment. What truly matters to me? What do I want to leave behind? What kind of life do I want to create? These are deeply personal questions. And the answers cannot be found in other people's expectations. They require us to turn inward, to listen to our own inner voice. This inward turn is often accompanied by a shift in priorities. In youth, we're driven by ambition, competition, and the desire to prove ourselves. We chase success, recognition, and material rewards. But in middle age, those pursuits begin to lose their appeal. We start to value different things: authenticity, connection, meaning. Life becomes less about doing and more about being. It's no longer about proving our worth. It's about living in alignment with our true self. Psychologists and researchers have found that this shift is supported by changes in the brain. Neuroscientific studies show that as we age, the emotional centers of the brain become more balanced. We become less reactive and more reflective. We're better at regulating our emotions and facing life's challenges with calm and perspective. This emotional maturity allows us to make decisions based on our values rather than our fears. We stop living on autopilot and start living with intention. That doesn't mean middle age is free from challenges. On the contrary, it can be a time of deep upheaval. The process of questioning and redefining ourselves often involves letting go of old identities, relationships, and goals. That can feel like a loss, and it's easy to see why some people experience it as a crisis. But as Brené Brown points out, what we call a midlife crisis is often a falling apart, a time when we're challenged to let go of who we think we're supposed to be and embrace who we truly are. This unraveling can be confusing. It may involve difficult conversations, major life changes, or periods of uncertainty. But it is also a time of incredible growth. Viktor Frankl, psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, wrote that the primary drive in human life is the will to meaning. In middle age, that drive becomes more urgent. We are no longer content to live by someone else's script. We want a life that feels meaningful, even if it looks different from what we once imagined. For many, this means confronting fears that have held them back: the fear of judgment, the fear of failure, the fear of stepping into the unknown. These fears can be paralyzing, but middle age offers a chance to face them head-on. It's an opportunity to rewrite the story of our lives, to let go of what no longer serves us, and to embrace what truly matters. Abraham Maslow, a pioneer in humanistic psychology, described this process as self-actualization, the drive to realize our full potential, to become the best version of ourselves. In middle age, self-actualization takes on a new depth. It's no longer about achieving external success, but about finding inner fulfillment. It's about living a life that feels authentic and meaningful. This process isn't easy, but it is rewarding. Studies show that people in their 40s, 50s, and beyond often report higher levels of life satisfaction than those in their 20s and 30s. They feel more connected to themselves, more grounded and more at peace with who they are. And with others, they are less concerned about what people think and more focused on what brings them joy and purpose. This is the gift of middle age, the freedom to live on our own terms. Jung believed that this freedom comes from embracing the full complexity of who we are. It's about integrating light and shadow, successes and failures, dreams and disappointments. It's about fully accepting ourselves, even the parts we find hard to face. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely, Jung said, but it is also the most liberating. Middle age is not a time to despair over what we've lost. It's a time to celebrate what we've gained: wisdom, clarity, resilience. It's a time to live a life that reflects our true self, a life that feels real and whole. It's a time to stop investigating and start living. In that sense, middle age is not the beginning of the end. It is the beginning of something far deeper. It is a turning point, an opportunity to step into the life we were meant to live. And while the journey may be challenging, it is also deeply rewarding. Life truly begins at 40, not because we have all the answers, but because we're finally asking the right questions.